animating objects with WebGL, making the square rotate. So in the previous video we were able to design this square, so you can check it out here, but there is not moving. So in this video what we want to do is do this. So now as you can see, this cube is rotating, so this is what we're gonna be working on, so making the square rotate. So let's close these tabs. Okay, so in this example we'll actually rotate our camera. By doing so, it will look as if we are rotating the square. First, we'll need some variables in which to track the current rotation of the camera. So we're gonna add some code to our WebGL-demo JavaScript file. So let's go into, let me see, it was in my folder programming and it was here in game. So I'm just gonna right click and I'm just gonna type in code, space that, so I can open it in Visual Studio Code. Okay, so now let's close this one and we're gonna open this main. This is gonna be the WebGL demo. Okay, so it says add this code at the start of your WebGL demo.js. So we're gonna go to the start, so it's gonna be we can just put it right here. So we're gonna, let me see, it's gonna be this declaration is gonna be a LED declaration. It's gonna be LED. Okay, it's gonna be a square LED, a square rotation, and we're gonna set it to something. Let the square rotation be set to or initialized to 0.0, and we are using this declaration LED, so it's not a constant, so obviously it can change. Now we're also declare delta time. Is going to be delta. Okay, it's going to be delta time, like that, and we are gonna initialize it to just 0, like that, ended up with a semicolon. Okay, so we have that, and now we need to update the draw scene function to apply the current rotation to the camera when drawing it. After translating the camera to the initial drawing position for the square, we apply the rotation. Okay, so now we're gonna open this file. So let's close this one and then open the draw scene. Okay, so we're gonna, in your draw scene module, update the declaration of your draw scene function so it can be passed the rotation to use. Okay, so now we're gonna have the function draw scene. Let's look it up. Function draw scene. So it's gonna be the first one. So we have the GL, the program info, and buffers. So we have GL, program info, buffers. Now we're gonna update it, so we're gonna pass in the square rotation. And again, we have the square rotation here. We are initializing the square rotation. We are setting it to 0.0. So we're gonna have here, it's gonna be a square rotation, like that. And this is in the draw scene. Okay, we have updated it. And let's also go into the HTML file and just right click and open it with live server, or you can press Alt+L, Alt+O. Okay, so let's open it, and we have that up to this point. It's not moving, obviously, since we haven't finished yet. And okay, so we have updated this. Now in your draw scene function, right after the line mat4 that translate call, add this code. So we're gonna add this piece of code into the in your draw scene function. Okay, draw scene function, it has to be, we have the function draw scene and your draw scene function right after the line mat4 that translate call. So it's gonna be this one, mat4 translate. Okay, it's mat translate 4. Okay, so we have to go here just after the mat4 translate. Okay, so after the line mat4 translate call, at this piece of code we're gonna have mat4. Okay, it's gonna be mat4 and it's gonna be that, and now we're gonna rotate it, so we're gonna use rotate like that, and we're gonna open parentheses, and inside of the parentheses we are gonna have the model view. It's gonna be the model view matrix, the model view matrix, comma, to separate it. So this is the destination matrix. We're gonna have the model, okay, the model view matrix again, matrix to rotate, so model view matrix, model view matrix. Okay, so let's close this one, let's close that folder too. We're gonna do it again, model view matrix, and finally we're gonna have the square rotation. So it's gonna be a square rotation, comma, to set a square rotation. Let me see, a square rotation. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so this is inside of the parentheses, and let me see, so we have the model view matrix. Model view matrix is square rotation. Okay, and after the square rotation we're gonna have this array, and we're gonna have this, the number 0, comma 0, comma 1, like this again, comma at the end, and finally at the end of the parentheses we're gonna end it with a semicolon. So axis to rotate around. So okay, if you're taking maybe, I don't know, calculus 3 or algebra or linear algebra, you have seen engineer and linear algebra matrices. So, or in calculus 3 or calculus of several variables, we will deal with 3D. Okay, so this rotates the model view matrix by the current value of the square rotation around the z-axis. So to actually animate, we need to add code that changes the value of the square rotation over time. Okay, so add this code at the end of your main function, replacing the existing draw scene call. Okay, so we're gonna replace the draw scene call, but this is gonna be in our main. This is our main. Let me, what is the draw scene call? So let's look for it. So we're gonna have that, the program info, this is draw scene, we have that. Okay, so let me see. So okay, so I have it over here. Oops, it's gonna be buffers. Okay, so this is the draw scene. We are going to replace it. Okay, so add this code at the end of your main function, replacing the existing draw scene call. So we're gonna replace this one. Let's just delete it, and now we are gonna have we're gonna initialize. So we're gonna, let me see, we're gonna let then, it's gonna be like this, let then, and we're gonna set it to 0. Okay, so let then equal to 0, then we're gonna draw the scene repeatedly. So we're gonna have this function, and we're gonna name it a render, and we're gonna pass in now like this. We're gonna open curly braces, and inside of the curly braces we're gonna have now, and it's gonna be asterisk and then equal sign, and it's gonna be set to 0.001. okay, oops, it's just 001 like that. Okay, so we interact with the semicolon, convert to seconds, then we're gonna have delta time camel notation. Okay, and then it's gonna be now, minus then, and there with the semicolon. So now minus then, and then we're gonna have then it's gonna be set to now. It's not equal, it's just set to now. So we have that, and let me see, so now we're gonna have the draw scene. Okay, so we are still inside of this function, and let me see, so we can move a little bit to the right, and we're gonna have the draw, we're gonna have this draw scene, and now we're gonna pass in the GL, we're gonna pass in the program info, we're gonna pass in the buffers, and also we're gonna pass in what is the name, yeah, square rotation. So it's gonna be the second one, square rotation, and there with a semicolon at the end. Okay, so a square rotation, and below we're gonna have in the, we're gonna set the square rotation, and we're gonna have the plus equal sign, and we're gonna have in the delta time camel notation. So that this is pretty much saying that the square rotation is gonna be set to the square rotation plus the delta time, and there with the semicolon at the end. To the next line, we're gonna have an request animation frame, so it's gonna be a request animation frame, and we're gonna pass in render. So we're gonna pass in render, and okay, so we are done here with this function of the function render. And outside of this curly braces, we are gonna have in the request animation. So it's gonna be a request animation frame, so request animation frame, and we are gonna pass in render. So end it with a semicolon at the end. Okay, so let me see. So we're gonna have this let then set to 0, then we're gonna have this function render from here to here, and then request animation frame render. So we have that, and let me see what else do we have here. So that is that. And okay, so as you can see, the cube is rotating. Well, it's not really rotating, our camera is rotating with perspective to this square, but this code uses request animation frame to ask the browser to call the function reader. So this is the function that we are using, function render, the function render on each frame. Request animation frame passes us the time in milliseconds since the page loaded. We convert that to seconds and then subtract from it the last time to compute delta time, which is the number of seconds since the last frame was rendered. And finally, we update the square rotation. So this is pretty much what we should have. Okay, so we update the square rotation, and as you can see, we have the same, this is our same end product, so the same result. So this is it for the animating objects with WebGL.